Hello, everyone. Sensei Jay Haynes here, the Film Sensei, with our roundtable discussion of HitFilm and basically a celebration of what we've all come to know and love, and what we're doing and everything like this. I have a great group of people behind the stage, and I'm just going to go ahead and start bringing them out one at a time, starting with Phil. Phil,
Hey.
It's great to have.
Great to be here. Great to see you as well. I said before, thank you for doing this. It's super exciting to talk about HitFilm, see a lot of familiar faces, and talk about what made a huge part of all of our creative lives.
Great, awesome. I'm glad you're here. Let's bring out Zach. Zach, it's great to have you.
Hello. Yeah, it's great to be here.
A pleasure. And now I'd like to bring out Axel. Axel, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure. And next is 80. 80, it's great to have you, sir.
Hello. Yeah, nice to be here. And thank you for organizing this, and obviously for Mike as well. Or Mike spoilers. Oh, yeah.
And last but not least, it's Mike. Mike, welcome, and we're glad you're here.
Hi, everybody. Jay, thanks for hosting this. Phil, Zach, 80, Axel, thanks for joining in. This is going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see who's.
It's great to see some familiar names in the chat as well. Hey, everybody.
Absolutely.
I'm actually glad Jay introduced me last, because I was trying to log into the chat and going, oh shit, with that, and try not to swear. Thanks, Tony.
Tony, out there. Thank you, sir. Terry, 4K Productions, great to have you too. Andy, glad you're here. Tom, and Greg.
Oh man, this is fantastic seeing all these names.
Yeah, Ivy, glad you're here.
So much nostalgia in this stream.
I don't know who that guy is.
Hey, yeah, great.
It's my son. That's my son. Javari, you will never live that down.
After things. Glad you're here too.
Hey, Tony.
Anthony.
Another Tony.
That's
greetings.
I don't know who that guy is either. Penwin. Great to have you. Al.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Webbo. And Patrick. I'll give everybody a shout out. So put a comment in there if you
keep going.
If you're here.
Missing someone.
Am I?
Keep looking. Tony C.
I put Tony up there.
We put Tony C. We can't.
I missed him. I apologize. Yes, he did. Look, I err on the side of looking out for Tony.
That's it. Always. Well, it's delightful to have you guys here. We've been talking for the past, 30 minutes behind the stage, and we're just going to kind of keep this conversation going, celebrating all the things that we've been able to do with HitFilm. Patrick, I've been using HitFilm since it was called a lamb.
TV.
Yeah, not me. I'm a young
my time.
Yeah, I was before my time too. But I understand one of us might have a reel that we're going to show off a little bit later that uses that maybe has some stuff from that application. So we'll just go around the table here. Phil, tell us a little bit about your interaction with HitFilm and with FXhome and what you're all about there.
Especially since, Zach and Axel and you and I, Jay, we've done the tutorial channels, but most people aren't going to know who Phil and Addy are and why they're important and why I'm particularly thrilled to have them today.
Yeah.
Well, thank you first off for saying that. I think that if you have been in the past number of years been a HitFilm user, and you wrote into support, you might have gotten an email from me. I've been on a couple live streams as well. So we were kind of, myself and a few others on the kind of backside, helping users out. I started with HitFilm, I want to say back in when I was, don't ask me to do math, but when I turned 30. So, kind of had a crisis and I was like,
so 2 years
what do I want
ago.
to do with my life? Yes, 2 years ago. I was trying to figure out what to do with my life and loved visual effects and always thought we were talking, like you said earlier, this the idea that an individual would be able to watch a movie and make something on par seemed so foreign to me until it was just like, well, why not? And looking around and finding software, but mainly finding people who were passionate about doing things led me to HitFilm. And I couldn't use it at first because I was a Mac and everything was PC. But much later on, I was doing support and some stuff like that with the FXhome folks. I had a chance to go to the office. And yeah, I've been just, using it to this day still, and I fully intend to continue using it on, case by case basis for things that I need. I'm over here in Boston in the United States and working with a bunch of media companies for commercials and a lot of tech video and things like that, and using DaVinci, but always going back to HitFilm for, hey, I need to do camera tracking. I need to do some particle stuff. I need to do some 3D, comp or animate some stuff in 3D and then export PNG sequences. So still using it, still fully intend to use it, still fully intend to help any other artists wherever I can. And yeah, just, keep both feet planted in this world because this is where we belong.
For sure. And there is a lively group of people who are still using HitFilm on Discord in the HitFilm users server. So check that out. It's run by Tony C. It's a fantastic place to connect with other people who are using it still. And so with that, let's move to Zach. You want to tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. Yeah, I discovered HitFilm, I think, around when HitFilm 4 Express came out. I think I was looking at HitFilm 3 Express even before that, but I didn't actually install the software until HitFilm 4. And at the time I was not even in high school yet, I don't think, and I was just curious about visual effects and wanted a software that I could learn for free, and there was HitFilm, so I gave it a try, followed some of the tutorials, and sort of fell in love with it and just continued from there. Around that time as well, I was just discovered Doctor Who, which inspired me, specifically the amazing title sequences in that show. So that's what made me take the leap to HitFilm Pro so that I could play around with particles and 3D models and all that fun stuff. And had an incredible experience just learning and having fun with it. A lot of support from the community on the forums and everything. I learned so much. And eventually continued making cool stuff and was contacted by FXhome to make a guest tutorial for their YouTube channel. That later turned into a full-time position for a while, making tutorial content for their channel, which was an awesome experience. And it really kickstarted my career in the visual effects industry. I now work at a studio working on Hollywood films and streaming shows as a visual effects compositor, and a lot of the skills and fundamental techniques that I use today I learned through HitFilm.
Yeah. And I mean, you really could say that you owe HitFilm your whole career, with starting there and then learning the basic skills and then moving on with more advanced stuff. And I got to say, I love the Skeleton Crew. Such a great show that you
absolute
worked on.
Kudos.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Kudos.
What a show.
If everybody who's on the stream now, if you haven't, please do watch Skeleton Crew. It's fantastic.
It's great.
And it's great to know that somebody we know has been very instrumental in that show.
Yeah, check the credits for episode 3, 7, and 8.
There you go.
Awesome. I can't wait for 7 and 8. That's going to be great. So let's move on. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself. Try to keep it within 2 hours, please. And we'll let you talk a little more.
Are you implying that I talk a lot? I do.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mike Miller from HitFilm University. I was aware of HitFilm going back to Composite Lab and Video Lab, and I never took the plunge. And then in 2013, I had an accident and I had to have my shoulder rebuilt. And right when that happened, there was Vegas is my primary editor, and they were having a sale to upgrade to HitFilm to Ultimate. And I was doing wedding videos at the time, and it was really Mocha, the camera solver. that got me. I figured I could, do the fringe thing and put my title in the wedding videos. And I'm, lied up and I can't work. So I go online and I look at all the demo reels from, like Keegan Lauren, Majar, Rodolphe Pierre Lewis. And then I start looking at these tutorials by Axel Wilkinson and Simon Jones and again, Majar and Rody, and start playing with HitFilm. And I loved it because I had Boris Effects and I had After Effects. And they were too much like work, and HitFilm, even though the interfaces are almost exactly the same, just clicked better for me. I had fun in HitFilm. So I eventually went on to do a tutorial channel, and I did some guest tutorials for HitFilm and got to be a forum moderator and do a bunch of HitFilm stuff. Jay, I think at one point later in this stream, we should share the real reason why we both started our channels without naming the name, but that's a good story. And then I'm sitting here watching my little USB lights that I've got lighting that back wall slowly dying behind me. My blue one went out already. I've got a ring light here and a lav mic that I'm wearing, and I just want to note that my wife, without knowing that there was a live stream coming up, this ring light and this lav mic were Christmas presents. So I'm getting to test them out. So
Nice.
Shout out to Laura.
Nice. That's
Shout out. Well done.
Yeah, that's great. All right. And I think I'll pass it to 80 next. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with HitFilm over the years.
Hello. Well, yeah, I think mine's a bit different to some of the guys here, I guess, in that I joined FXhome as a QA tester. So as for those that probably do know, that obviously FXhome was located in Norwich, which is where I'm based. So ultimately I was working in the office and working on HitFilm from its infancy. So got to see it kind of grow and morph into what it is today, which obviously is a very capable product and something that I'm incredibly proud of having worked on and been a part of that in some small way. Obviously there was a team that I was involved with, but yeah, it was lovely to be involved with those guys and see all the talented people that I'm seeing today. Like I didn't know about Zach, for instance, like your situation, the fact that you're actually working on kind of major productions and stuff like that is incredible. Like that's the kind of stuff that we wanted to do when we started out with HitFilm. Was we wanted people to have this kind of ability to learn and then develop into something much more than that, which is wonderful to hear. I suppose I am probably the slight odd one in this room as well, and that I'm not really a content creator. When I joined FXhome, I had very little experience of like video editing and stuff like that. It was all just learn on the job. But I would say that the people that I work with were incredible, and they basically kind of taught me everything that I know today. And thankfully, I've actually had to use some of that knowledge fairly recently as well in my current projects where I work now. So that stuff is still being used today, even though, I'm not technically working in that kind of field anymore. Still useful and still helpful. So again, it's improved me as an individual and improved me as a member of a team. So yeah, I can't thank them highly enough for that. And it is really, really lovely to be here and see you all again, because some of you I haven't spoken to for years, and it's been far too long. But yeah, it was for me, it was a start. It was a job, but it was a job that was incredibly fun at the same time. And I think when you do that, it's incredible to have that kind of feeling when you're working a job that you actually genuinely enjoy. So yeah, I can't thank him enough for that. But yeah, that was my journey. So
if I could jump in,
got stuck being my boss for 6 months.
Hey, if I could jump in real quick,
you were a massive help. You were a massive help. Yeah, it's all good.
Just to speak to something that you said, AD, and something that we've been seeing in the comments coming in is that people had fun using the software, right? It didn't feel like work, things like that. And I think that speaks a lot to, like I said, I had the opportunity to go into the office a couple of years ago, seeing how much everybody who worked for FXhome cared about how people were experiencing the software, what was important, being in meetings saying like, hey, like this is going to be important to the users, is a huge reason why I think, HitFilm became what it did, because it was so easy to say like, look, this is going to have an impact on real people. I cannot get anybody on Adobe, at Adobe on the phone, and say like, hey, this button's a little weird. But there were people saying like, hey, you know what? If this was a little bigger, it might help. And they're like, yeah, that's a great point. It's going to help everybody. Let's go for it because it matters. And that's one of the things where I feel like it really did. It felt like I was not working for FXhome. I felt like I was working with FXhome.
Yeah.
You know, at any given point.
And the connection between the people at FXhome and the community was extremely strong. As a segue into our final guest, I'll tell you that I actually read the entire manual from cover to cover, and then I was doing it because I was making a course on HitFilm, and so I thought, well, this will be great. This is a perfect outline for the course, And so I would send Axel a message, go, hey, I noticed that the manual says this, but I think it does this. And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot that was there, and then a couple hours later, hey, I noticed that the manual says this. And then a couple hours later, he finally says, are you reading the manual cover to cover? Like, well, yeah. Doesn't everybody? He's like, no. So with that, I'll hand it to the man who literally wrote the book on HitFilm, Axel. Go ahead, Axel. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with HitFilm over the years.
Yeah, to be fair, the first draft of the manual was put together by Simon. I took over from him and I rewrote it pretty extensively as the software developer.
Simon.
But yeah, credit where it's due. But I've been around forever. My first exposure to the software was actually a copy of LMDV, the first version, which I got when LMDV 2 was released. They put the first version on the little CD that would come with Mac Addict magazine for free. And so that's where I got it. I bought a magazine, and the disc that was included with the free software and stuff had a full version of LMDV1. And so I started using it then. And in that software, for those who aren't familiar with it, you could basically build your own effects and submit them to the website for other people to download, because basically all it did was took a series of images and stuck them over the top of your video. And so you could render this effect as a series of images and upload it, and then other people could use it. And so I did that some, made various effects that I uploaded, and just being around the forums and trying to help where I could and stuff eventually led to, FXhome got to the point where they wanted to add a support section to the site with a knowledge base, and they hired me to write the knowledge base. So I'm on the west coast of the US, and since they're in Britain, I was just working as a contractor. I wasn't an employee or anything, but it led to a very long process of working with them as a contractor in various things. I've been around through all the different softwares from LMDV, the mythical and never realized LMDV3, which eventually that got dropped and they went into the lab series, Effects Lab, Composite Lab, Vision Lab. Video Wrap was briefly a thing, kind of all of that leading up to HitFilm. And while they were working on HitFilm, they actually flew me over there. I went to visit the office and everybody there. Excuse me. While it was still all under wraps. And so, so they just kind of showed me what they were working on and stuff. And I was able to give them some feedback in the early stages there while it was still in development. But yeah, so I've been around for ages. I think Josh is the only one at the company that's been there longer than I've been working for them at this point.
Wow.
But yeah, so my job kind of morphed over time as well. I went into support for quite a while. Not my favorite, but I prefer working behind the scenes to working with the public. But I did have at that point kind of the knowledge to help a lot of people through support, and then took over writing the manual and updating that. And then from there, I guess through a lot of this, I was also working on the YouTube channel, creating tutorials for PhotoKey was another product I forgot to mention. I did a lot of tutorials for that one as well, for still images, still photography. And then I eventually transitioned into testing. From support, I went into testing, and 80 kind of trained me and ushered me into that, since that was his department. Basically, the department was him before I came into it. So we doubled the workforce in one go, and he trained me, and so that's still where I'm working now, is in the software testing side of things for Artlist.
That's
Testing's
great.
fun. You get to just play with the software, and then oh, that didn't work. Make a note of that and continue playing.
That's what I tell people. It's like my job is just to try and break the software, and then I don't even have to fix it. I'm just like, point to someone else. You need to fix that because it's not working.
It's the best feeling. It's the best feeling. Just find some problems and just point someone at them. It's great.
Sometimes you go down a rabbit hole and discover things like what the actual internal scale of HitFilm is.
Yeah.
Which I have a note of that somewhere.
Yep. And then sometimes you like do things that was never meant to do, but it's like, wow, this works surprisingly well. It's crazy. So,
yeah, that was one of the things that we talked about a lot, just among the team, is all the time on the forums and in the community, people were posting these things that they'd done that never would have occurred to us. It's like the versatility of the software, and then you get all these creative minds from all over the world applying it, and it's like just unlimited the number of different applications that people could put to it.
I remember with HitFilm 2, and I think one or two of the shots may be on the reels that we're showing later, figuring out this long, complex process of faking 3D models in the particle sim by taking my camera move in my main comp and then moving that in a Google rig to a bedded composite shot so it was moving around the particle, and I'm doing all these tests on this. And Simon Jones told me later, he's like, I have never been so tempted to break my NDA in my life. I was watching this month. I just wanted to tell you 3D model particles were coming in HitFilm 3, and I couldn't.
Oh man, I remember that day.
Yeah.
Hey,
that became one of my jokes for a while, that I would figure out a hack and then FXhome would put a feature in. I guess since we just finished intros, Jay, since Rody didn't show up, maybe we just finished intros. This is where I should read his statements.
Let's do that. And then we got a question for 80 here.
Perfect. Rodolphe Pierre-Louis, who is the CEO of ActionVFX, was supposed to be one of the guests today, but as he sent me yesterday, I'm homesick and I lost my voice. If I don't make it, can you share this message with the group? I'm Rodolphe Pierre-Louis, better known as Rody Paul on the FXhome and Film forums, and the founder and CEO of ActionVFX. I was a 14-year-old kid the first time I stumbled onto the FXhome website back in 2006. I was instantly amazed by the demo shots. Those green screens from Salthar's Nightcast movie blew my mind. I never knew creating great effects was even possible on a home computer, so once I discovered their software, I instantly got hooked. I begged my dad to buy me Composite Lab Lite. I still regret not asking for the Pro version. The rest is history. After HitFilm's release in 2011, I wanted to be the first third-party tutorial creator for it, and as far as I know, I was the first non-employee creating HitFilm tutorials on my Rody Paulus YouTube channel. That YouTube channel eventually led to RodyPaulus.com, which eventually became ActionVFX.com. To say FXhome changed the trajectory of my life would be the understatement of the century. The tools and the community that Josh Davies and company built over the years were exceptional. I've never found anything like it since, and I probably never will. Thank you, FXhome. Thank you, HitFilm.
Man, what a class act. Yeah. What a class act. He's a fantastic guy. I had an opportunity to meet him, God, probably like 15 years ago. He just happened to be passing through my town, and we went and grabbed dinner, and just watching the trajectory that both Rody as an individual and ActionVFX have taken has been nothing short of exceptional. And you know, seeing their name, you know, tied to Godzilla -1, and you know, just seeing the site just grow into what it is now and being such a resource is fantastic. So it's great stuff. Rody, get better soon. Hang in there, and hopefully we'll be in touch.
For sure. Yeah, it's his fault that we're all here because it's his tutorial that caused me to buy HitFilm. So yeah, and what can I say? All right, let's talk about this question from Andy. What was it like working in the office at FXhome? It always seemed like a fun place to work.
It was always fun. Like, it was an interesting place to work. I think there was a lot of jealousy when it came to talking about what we did in the office at FXhome. Pre-Artlist, we used to have like barbecues and stuff like that, which in the middle of a working day is unheard of for some companies. But yeah, it was incredible. It didn't really change that much once Artlist joined as well. Like, it was kind of roughly the same. Only thing that really changed is that communication became a little bit more difficult because there was time zone differences. So you had to kind of work your calls around those time zone differences, which obviously is not great and is not something that you can fix easily. It takes time for those things to kind of bed in and sort themselves out. But I think in general, like before pre-Artlist, it was lovely. We used to have like game nights and stuff like that, which we did at Artlist as well. Same thing. We used to have game nights and regular catch-ups and stuff like that. So it didn't change that much, but there was it was definitely a little bit more fluid perhaps in the pre-Artlist days. There was a lot more kind of stuff that was happening, but I think it became a bit more of a tightly run ship once Artlist kind of came along and started to kind of lock down some of that stuff, but not in a bad way, just in a general different way. It just meant that, you know, we were a bit more streamlined, but yeah, it was not much different, to be honest with you.
From the little interaction I had going there, you could definitely tell that going into the Norwich office, there was a very definitive culture of this is who we are. You know, not just with how people spoke day to day, but what was on the walls, just how people hung out with each other. It really did feel like, hey, we're all in this together, very much. And you know, to your point, I've been part of a number of companies that have gone through mergers and things like that, and you do see a bit of like, oh, okay, we're changing this, we're changing that. It doesn't necessarily rip the foundation out from under. You know, everybody's still there for a reason. They're still there because they're passionate about what they do. It's just like you said, the communication was different. Artlist being, you know, not necessarily local to the United States or United Kingdom. You know, yeah, we all had to deal with like, oh, what time is it there? What are we doing now? So that was pretty much it, from what I saw.
That isn't unique to Artlist either. Like where I work right now, there are people spread across the world. Like you have to try and organize. Like we deal with Netflix, so they're obviously US based, so we can't always talk to them at the times we want to talk to them. So you have to kind of wait for them to come online. We have to use the tool that they use internally to talk to them. So it's kind of like all these challenges are not unique things that happen due to FXhome and Artlist merging. They happen all over the place, regardless of where you work. There's always going to be individual challenges, so it's not something that's unique to that particular setup. And as Javert, I think, is put in the, there was several days where we spent, you know, kind of doing silly stuff like stacking soda cans on a table to see how many we could get together. It's just that happened fairly regularly. If it wasn't that, it was the games nights where Josh would often try and beat me at FIFA or something like that. Me playing as Norwich City and him as like Real Madrid, a team that is, you know, a team full of absolute superstars trying to beat my poor little Norwich City team. And he couldn't until he could, and then it got less fun for me. Anyway, but yeah.
I still have a video somewhere of a few of us playing Phasmophobia in VR, and just being like, "Well, I'm deleting that because it was too terrifying, but it was a nice little bonding experience." Yeah.
And I will say, just while I've got my mic open, I obviously live in Norwich, and it's quite regular that I talk to other people, perhaps working in different industries, and they all talk about HitFilm. So it's not like it's, you know, there is definitely people, despite it perhaps not being as wider reached as other programs, there are people that use it fairly regularly. And a lot of YouTube channels that I watch that are fairly small still use it for editing and stuff like that as well. And it's really lovely to see people like, you know, still kind of using it and getting what they can out of it, because yeah, it's just really, really nice to see that kind of stuff. And like I say, that I've talked to a few people fairly recently who've moved to Norwich, who used to work in the games industry and vice versa. And yeah, they knew about HitFilm, knew about FXhome and stuff like that. And it's just nice to kind of hear people talk about their own experiences and stuff like that. So yeah, as much as it perhaps doesn't go as far and wide as we perhaps hoped, but there's definitely people there that have used it and have enjoyed it for their channels and everything else. So yeah, it's great to see.
I had that experience. I was in VR. I was in the metaverse, and I was chatting with somebody,
Yeah.
and I asked her, "Hey, do you make your, because she was posting content on Instagram and where, and I said, "Do you make your own content?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "How? What do you use to do that?" And she goes, "I use this English software called HitFilm. There's this really great tutorial guy. His name's Film Sensei." And I'm like,
It's funny.
Really? Tell me
that's
more.
me.
Who's this person?
That's me. And she goes, "Oh, get out of here." Like whatever. Yeah.
I think I saw someone on Instagram, like he was posted up like a reel or something like that, and it was actually HitFilm's interface. I could see him kind of editing his video for his YouTube channel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just really lovely to see, and just a really, really nice thing to obviously know that at some point I played a small part in kind of getting that software to it is. And obviously hearing all the stuff, like I said earlier about Zach and other people that have moved on. I mean, Corridor Digital as well. I mean, I know they weren't using HitFilm, but they obviously were on FXhome's forums and stuff like that as well. And obviously Josh is very friendly.
Well, I mean,
didn't
Corridor at least approach HitFilm once because they did Prism was that Freddie Wong? I thought they co-produced a short film with FXhome.
Yeah, I think that was with HitFilm. I think Prism.
Yeah.
There's connection there, but I think originally they started out on the forums, didn't they, and then kind of moved on to bigger and better things, which is exactly what I said earlier. Is what we kind of wanted, is this foothold for people to get their kind of knowledge and build it up and then build themselves into something else. And it's incredible to kind of see that. Who was the guy who kept saying he was part of the industry as well? Like it was like a kind of joke on the forum. I forgot what his name was. Didn't he like work on like Band of Brothers or something like? I forgot what his name was. It'll come back to me at some point, but there was someone who used to always get the joke of like, "Oh, in the industry," and it was kind of like the joke that was always made. But I can't remember what his name was. Maybe someone in the chat will remember. But yeah, there was always someone that was always in the industry. But yeah, I'll stop talking now.
I remember on my honeymoon back in 2015. This is before I did my tutorial channel, but my wife and I, our first time in Dublin, and we were in this bar, and this guy I was talking to randomly, we were both smoking outside, and he starts talking about how he's a HitFilm user and how the community forums are so helpful and how he got so many tips from this guy Triumph Visual, and I'm like, you're welcome.
That's crazy.
And I mean, 80 was just talking about people moving on to bigger and better things, and of course we have Zach Allen, which over there. I mean, he's our example of that today, because I remember Zach when he came onto the forums, and Zach put it, he wasn't even in high school yet, and he was just this fresh kid. But man, Zach, I remember like every bit of knowledge we threw at you, you took it and made it your own. I hope your AT-AT shot is in your reel, because Zach wanted to do this AT-AT walking shot, and he talked about how to do that, and it was me and Jay talking, and Lynn talking to him. It's like, oh, well, HitFilm doesn't have inverse kinetics, so you're going to have to do this, and it's the really hard way, and you would just be better off to learn Blender. So what does Zach do? He does it the hard way.
Yeah.
And makes it look great, and goes, wow, that was really hard. Now I'm going to go which he did, and now you've done The Expanse and Skeleton Crew and all this other stuff. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, here's a question. Who came up with the idea of the amazing demos, videos, or tutorials?
Well, I don't know, but it sold me.
Frequently, whoever had worked on the latest blockbuster, I think we borrowed a lot of tutorial ideas from whatever movie was hot at the time. But yeah, other than that, it was largely whoever was working on that specific tutorial. Typically, the tutorial was the offshoot of personal experimentation. Kind of I figured out a way to do this, do a proof of concept shot, and then develop that into a tutorial.
That's what happened with half of the guest tutorials I did. I came up with a thing, I pitched it. Actually, when we show reels later on today, you'll see my pitch shot for what became the Sandman Dissolve tutorial, and then the shot from the tutorial.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Yeah. Here you go. Lost.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
those were
going back to these tutorials. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to
go right ahead.
we were talking a little bit briefly before about how HitFilm and FXhome overall really democratized, visual effects and things of that sort for us, and being able to see something comparable, on your small screen on YouTube than something that you see on a big screen. Like the whole, hey, we're going to do a bunch of Avengers tutorials. Hey, we're going to do the Flash tutorials. Where I'm just like, how is this possible? But not only how is it possible, it's like, well, what are we doing next? To that same thing of, well, if we can do that, well, why can't we do this? Well, they've got a particle simulator. I could probably do that. And just opening up people's minds to the possibilities. Like I said earlier, I was more on the support side. So a lot of people would come to me and saying, hey, I'm having this issue. I'm trying to fix this thing. But also I would just get as many different tickets saying, I want to do this. I think I can do it this way. Where should I go next? And the ingenuity and just the creativity, like you were saying before, of people who said, I have a goal, I have the tool set, I know I can do this now. And they pushed forward and they were more confident for it. Their work got better for it. There are people that have found me on Instagram now and saying, hey, you helped me before. This is what I'm doing now. And it's amazing. And I feel such pride being like, oh my gosh, I saw where they came from. Well, what am I going to do now? And so I'll push that. And so it's such a fantastic feeling to see the growth of so many artists, as well as the growth of the company, saying like, hey, look at what people are doing. How can we push that? How can we give them more tools? How can we enable them to see what they have in their mind and put it on the screen? And shout out again to the community, which it was, I think, a big labor of love for a lot of us. But at the same time, just having all that wealth of information there. And camaraderie and people, saying, oh, hey, by the way, I got married. Oh my gosh, wow, that's awesome. Congratulations. What else are you doing? Like those kind of things as well. It was not just like going onto a Reddit post and everybody's like, well, how do you solve this problem? It was people who cared about the problem as well.
I would say that just on the kind of tutorial creation, I would say that even the devs were impressed with what you guys were managing to achieve with that kind of stuff. Like they were just like, this is awesome. I think it always kind of surprised them how flexible and how good the product could be at times when it was in the hands of someone who was competent, which I think is what they wouldn't necessarily mind me saying, because I think they all often try to do their own stuff and try to do their own bits and bobs, but I think they would often follow your guys' tutorials. Zach, Axel, they were in. Some of them were intrinsic in some of our testing as well, because ultimately, when you do something like a tutorial, you're going to have several 100,000 people or whatever going through it. You need to make sure it works. So ultimately, they were quite good for us to use for a testing bed as well. So but I think they were always completely blown away by the kind of what you could achieve with the software, and they were always really, really impressed with what kind of came out. So yeah, hats off to you guys for what you created, because I think it was a big driver in showing what it could do in the right hands, which obviously was not my hands, because more often than not I was just causing chaos and just breaking stuff. So yeah, that's my job, but I enjoyed it.
My tutorials, I was trying to take the baton of that Axel and Simon set and keep that going. And this is no offense to Zach or to Javert or to Tom or to Louisa, but by the time when Axel and Simon were doing the tutorials, the early tutorials, 2011, 2012, they were allowed to do more comprehensive how-to and theory and go into every control. And then the focus of the tutorial channel shifted into more, here's how to do the cool effect. And we got to see a lot of cool effects, but I was missing that, here's how everything works, here's why that works, which was the beginning of the seed of what became the Essential HitFilm series, to take that kind of, and the stuff that I never actually covered in the Essential HitFilm series, I'm still pointing people to Axel and Simon's tutorials for those, because Axel, you still did the best lighting tutorial, the basic how the lights work. Simon's tutorial on how to set up 3D models in HitFilm is still the gold standard. The only way to get anything more detailed is to sit through 2 of Sensei's live streams of me rambling for 2.5 hours. And I mean, what Simon does in 20 minutes, it takes me 4 hours to do. And Jay, should we is this where we should share the origin of why we started our channel?
Oh, go ahead.
On that topic?
Absolutely.
All right. The real story of why Jay and I started our tutorial channels around the same time is there was a user on the forum who shall remain nameless, but he was one of in a decade one of about 4 people I ever ran into on the forum who was a real pain in the butt. And this person was arrogant and was telling everybody what to do and telling everybody how they should do their things. And he was wrong. And he started putting out tutorials, and his tutorials were wrong. And he came into the forum one day saying, how do I use the text tool? And 3 of us posted his text tutorial back at him, because that was our passive aggressive snarkiness. I'm like, oh, this tutorial show everything. Yeah, I'm trying that. It's not working. I'm like, that's you a tutorial. So Jay and I basically started our tutorial channels because this guy was putting out tutorials that were wrong, and we wanted to put out tutorials that were right.
I feel like there was an era in kind of the VFX, at home kind of thing, where you had basically Andrew Kramer set such a standard of theory, and like, hey, we're having fun, we're making stuff. This is why we are doing this. This is what this does. This is the science or the math or the idea behind these things, which felt like a masterclass. It felt like, you were sitting somewhere in a seminar and somebody was saying, like, this is how light works, and you don't see that as much unless it's something very specific now. Like, hey, here's a new aperture, 300C, and here's how we're going to use it, versus this is why we're doing this. And that's something that I really appreciated from, obviously all of the FXhome tutorials, but certainly the older ones, the why. Why are we doing it? It's not just, hey, hit the make cool button and that's it.
Yeah.
It's, hey, let's look at these shots of, Empire Strikes Back and how the lightsaber fan goes. This is why we're doing that. This is why that works. Versus just, hey, we've got a lightsaber plugin. Go have fun, which I appreciated.
Yeah, for me, I prefer those type of tutorials as well. So that's always what I aimed for. And it's like, there's always the challenge of how long can you stretch this tutorial before people just lose interest because of all the detail you're getting into. But yeah, trying to focus on the theory behind it to some extent, not just a list of settings, is so much more useful for learning the software. The trade-off there is that I'm fully aware that the results I was turning out with my tutorials were not on the same level as the stuff that came after me, when they could focus on, here's how to do the cool shot. Part of that too is that I'm all by myself. And when they were doing them at the office and they had a crew, and the things they could do on the shoots for those tutorials were just much more advanced. But at the same time, they also had better artists than me working on the result. And so yeah, they turned out some really impressive stuff. And yeah, but the trade-off there is that there's less time in those to get into the underpinnings and the theory underneath it all and why you're doing the specific things you're doing. So yeah, I had a lot of fun on making tutorials on that side of things, just trying to figure out what's the best way that I can explain and demonstrate this in the time I have available, so that it's clear how the concept can be applied to another situation.
Yeah. And that's you built the toolbox with all the tools, and then they took the tools and showed how to do all these really cool shots. And you need them both. So your foundation is what laid that out.
You've undersold yourself a little bit there, I think, Axel. You were the kind of instigator of kind of what happened. I think, you kind of laid that foundation, and people have built upon that, which is basically how everything works in the world. Like, someone creates something and then someone makes it better or improves it in some way. So that's kind of what happened. And it's just like you say, you were limited in the fact that you were isolated. You weren't in the office, you weren't able to call upon people to be able to do all those kind of things that maybe they could in the office, but you still did some excellent tutorials and laid a really, really good foundation for everyone to learn from. So I always enjoyed listening to your tutorials, and I always enjoyed trying to get through them, but I was just rubbish with the software. So, I could never do it, but, it's just how it is for me. But you did an excellent job of what you did.
Thank you.
I appreciate how kind of morphed into some of the master classes we saw, like with Rise of the Dark Side, where you had like a full dedicated page on the site saying like, hey, we're going to focus on this, we're going to focus on that, we're going to focus on this, and there's like multi-part tutorials, and like everybody's saying, it all started somewhere. It all started with the very early tutorials, and it's funny when we were all getting on here, it's like, of course I know Axel. Like, I've known Axel long before Axel knew I existed, because I know your voice, I know your tutorials, and all those things, and it just made it so much easier to work with you as well. Be like, oh, it's Axel, not a problem.
I wish I had a warm, comforting voice like Axel or Simon. Yeah. I sound a little bit more snotty and a little bit more arrogant. That's just the tone of my voice. And Axel and Simon, you guys just sound so warm and friendly and nice. And Simon should be here next week, but Simon, like, he's my best friend who I've never met. And he comes out of the HitFilm community. And of course, everybody who's here today, I know you guys from the forum and was able to reach out to you and get you to come, do Jay's live stream, because, and Tony C, special shout out to Tony C on that.
Yeah,
I think.
Terry, 4K Productions, Jay, you showed his comment for a while, but the shot of the saucer landing in the field from the HitFilm Ultimate 2
trailer,
that is the best promo trailer I have ever seen for any piece of VFX or computer software. That was so perfect. I've got an idea for a film, cut to the clip. I've got an idea for a film, cut to the clip. Got an idea for a film, cut to the clip. They could have kept that. They could have kept that going and done that every year and just update that with new clips, and maybe even bring community users in. I've got an idea for a film, Phil clip. I've got an idea for a film, Tony clip, whatever. That light just turned back on.
I think your cat just knocked it off. I think she pushed it on the floor in a typical cat-like fashion, and it started to work again. I was just going to say that Simon and Josh were destroyers of the software at times. They tried to push it so hard most of the time, trying to get things that they wanted to do for tutorials or for videos. And the amount of times that we'd have like a Josh bug or a Simon bug, it's like, crikey, these guys are really pushing this software really, really hard. And obviously pushing the limits of their machines probably as well. I think after that, the torch passed on to Javert and Tom, and the amount of times I'd get a message from one of those two saying, I'm trying to do this shot and it's not doing what I expect it to do. And then it's just like a conversation that happens between and you always know when you found a really good bug, because what happens is that devs congregate around one screen looking at what they've just been trying to do. And it's just like this conversation just branches out into the whole room suddenly, like, what are they doing? Why are they doing that? Why are they doing it that way? Why aren't they doing this? And it's just like, it's I can't explain the phenomenon. Yeah, you did give me the most headaches. That is true. I still get nightmares about your blue screening machine, like every single time. Like Tom would make my machine's blue screen again. Oh no, stop it. But yeah, those guys were. It was initially it was Josh and Simon, and it passed over to Tom and Javert, and it was. Yeah, you'd always find these critical, crucial bugs at the most awful timing. Like it's like we're about to release or something like that. It's like, I've just found this really horrible bug. It's a crash. I'm like, oh, okay, right, okay. So it's something that has happened historically. I think in HitFilm's lifetime is that there'll always be a point where if it wasn't Simon or Josh, it was Javert or Tom. It's just like, yeah, I found this problem, and then like I say, the dev would just be like, why are they doing this? It's all part and parcel of the fun of software development and anything to do with development. You've got to break some eggs to get what you want.
But you guys did it so well, and I think it speaks to the humanity of the team. Was it was important. We were showing what people could do. We were kind of expanding this idea of what was possible. So when you did have these tutorials, or hey, we want to try these things that maybe weren't necessarily how the tools were first designed. It's like, well, this is going to allow me to do X. This is going to allow me to do Y, which will be a jumping off point for something else. And then users would see that and say, well, I can do this then. Users would see what we would do in the office, or what the office would put out, and then that would inspire others. And you'd see Zach come out with something, you're like, well, I can jump off on top of that. And then the things that I can do now, I never thought in my entire life I'd be able to do ever. And I have so much just so much to thank the team and the community. We've touched on the community, but we had a really fantastic community. Every community is going to have weird things left and right, but there was just so many people who just
4 problems in over a decade. Only 4.
Only 4.
That's amazing.
Yeah, for the amount of people we had, and it made me feel so proud to be part of that just whole movement, and continue to be on it. So
best community ever.
There's a few people asking, what's going to happen now? What's happening next? Most of us, when we were talking before, we're like, yeah, we're going to still use the software. We're absolutely still using it. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, and someone in the audience asked that. We will all continue to use the software as long as it happens. Someone else asked if we'd be doing tutorials. Jay can answer for himself. Believe it or not, I moved to Ireland a few years ago. I'm in a rented house. I don't have a room that's an office. I'm in my cat room, so I'm surrounded by sandboxes and food dishes right now. I have to work on the kitchen table and tear my computer down every day. Should be moving into a house later this year. I may, even though HitFilm's officially been sunsetted, I may do some HitFilm tutorials in 2025, because there are some things that I wanted to get to that I never got to. And it's bugging me that I never got to them. And there are still techniques or principles that will apply to other software. So I still think it's worth doing.
Likewise, I fully intend on doing some tutorials as well. So you have a cat room, but not an office. I've never heard of a specific room for cats. I'm not a cat owner, so I didn't know. But no, to your point, that makes a great point. I think that it is still a valid tool. It is still something that works. And kind of going back to the theory aspect, there's still things where we can say, this can translate to your next thing. It is important that you understand the concepts. It's never, I don't think it was the idea was ever, you need to be using HitFilm and never break away. Like we're all saying, it's been move on to these other things. So, one of the things I know I wanted to do when I was at HitFilm as well, or FXhome rather, was like, hey, we should be putting out branded storyboards so that we can, people can print those out and get to writing, get to planning, get to those kind of things as well. It's always about what are you learning? It's always about what are you taking, and what theories are you understanding, how to set up a shot, how to organize your media, how to, understand rule of thirds, how to understand lighting, how to understand how to composite something well, because that's always going to be applicable in whatever software package you're using in the future. For sure. And I think that I'd like to say we were very successful in that, and I'm still using concepts I learned with HitFilm in Resolve, or learning Blender or Unreal or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of the concepts we're using in HitFilm or whatever go back to practical filmmaking and optical printing. Like, remember Simon did the tutorial on adding glowing lights to spaceships, and all he was doing another render pass, right? I mean, it was just like, here's another copy
only
of the
way
model,
I do it now. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's how you still do it in Blender, and that's how you see them do it in movies to this day. It's still different passes, but that was motion control. The Enterprise D, the model with no lights on, turn on the Broussard collectors, turn on the blue lights, turn on the window lights, comp them all together. That's how you do it. Whether it's nodes or layers or motion control passes, you stack the passes.
Yeah.
I remember in I think it was the first tutorial I ever did on keyframing and HitFilm. I kind of talked about, how it comes from traditional animation, because through my teen years growing up, I wanted to be a Disney animator. So I knew all about it. And so I did a little hand animated sequence of a guy walking to demonstrate how keyframing works and how the in-betweens are calculated and everything. And then, because it's like that, it's been around since the 20s, but the concept is exactly the same on the computer, just simpler because you let the computer do it instead of a person. But it's like, all of that stuff is like that. Those concepts translate through.
Yeah, and parenting rigs are like paper doll animation.
Yep.
As soon as you said keyframes, "Hello, darkness, my old friend," just popped into my head because I think that was probably the biggest headache for the devs, was trying to figure out keyframes and get them to work in a way that, you know, kind of seemingly was working as intended. I think the amount of conversations we had around keyframes was incredible. And the way in which that there is no, I think I'm still right in saying this, there's no industry standard for how keyframing and that should probably work. It's kind of like, if you go to different products, they work in slightly different ways and not always the same. I would say there probably is some sort of underlying math, which obviously does perhaps ring true for all of them, but there's different ways in which they handle it. And I think that just blew everyone's mind. We're like, how do we make this work in a way that, you know, is at least something that people can understand and be able to use? And yeah, the second you said keyframes, like, I didn't even think about that until you mentioned that. I was just like, oh, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Sorry, we brought back that repressed memory.
Yeah.
I the helicopter was there. The helicopter, it was all just like it was a flashback of some kind. It was really something. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's good.
No problem.
Talking about the real community on the forums. I mean, I used to say for years that it is the nicest place on the internet to go to the HitFilm forums. And I do want to shout out again. I know it's a shameless plug for the HitFilm users group on Discord. It's Tony C's group. We have brought that same community to that group. And so if you are not a part of that, you should be.
I'm going to grab an invite link for that group and I'll stick it in the chat.
Yeah.
Tony C, you're in the audience. Why don't you do that?
Yeah. And we have, I mean, it's a great group that we have over there at the Discord channel. It's like the forums, but just on a different platform. So
I've been a lurker. I'll be more active.
Yeah, as long as you're there, right? You see what's going on. You see how positive it is over there. It's so good. I would like to, I think, start showing off some reels. What do you guys think?
I was about to suggest that, but I want to one quick thing before we get to reels. Then we'll get to reels. There are some comments in the comments that Jay's not bringing up. Very few. But a few comments on, oh my God, the sunset is an extinction event, blah, blah, blah. Later tonight on the HitFilm University channel, I will be posting a video on the real reason why HitFilm is dying. And I've already talked about this with Phil and Addie and Zach and Jay before the live stream began. But I think you guys need to watch that because it's not Artlist. Artlist is not what killed HitFilm. And I think you're going to be surprised at what it really is. And we're sad that HitFilm is going away, but HitFilm would have to go away right around now, no matter what, Artlist or no Artlist. So look for that video on the HitFilm University channel later tonight.
Yep.
Because I don't want to keep retyping it in the. I'm tired of retyping it in the Discord and in the Facebook groups and the whatever. I'm just making a video so I can just stop typing it.
Cut and paste.
I would say that HitFilm is
real quick.
Not going away though, right?
Yeah.
Like HitFilm doesn't cease to exist. Like it's going to still be here and it'll still work as far as I'm
Correct.
aware. It might be certain systems it may not work on in the future, but you know, you can't really stop that. Like time is not going to stop for any piece of software. There are probably pieces of software that I've used that no longer work on a modern machine because ultimately it requires something that is so outdated that it just doesn't. It's not going to work. So yeah, as much as people say that it's going, it's not. It's still there. It still works. It's still there. You can still do what you want with it. And obviously, it seems like the guys are going to make still some content for it as well. So ultimately, you'll have something to, you know, get your teeth into and create. So yeah, as much as it's going away, it's not really.
Real quick before we get into the reels. First off, hey Josh, how's it going? Great to see you in the comment. Second off, Daniel Ashford, we just had his comment up there. HitFilm allowed me and my son to spend hours together when he was younger learning the software. Today he has his own stop motion YouTube channel and uses it daily. That is the reason. That is fantastic. If you could you put a link to that in the chat? Because I would love to check that out. Like these are the kind of things that made my day easier doing support, is seeing the human impact of this. You know, seeing people get together. Oh my God, I made so many friends. I met my girlfriend. We were shooting a film. We were doing this. And, you know, this stuff just like warms my heart. The fact that for a lot of us, it's software. It allows us to do something. Hey, Josh. It also just brought people together in a very, very real, tangible way. And I think that it's important to call that out.
Definitely.
For sure. For sure. Well, what do you think? Should we share some reels?
Let's do some reels. Yeah, go on. Let's do it.
All right. Who would like to go first?
Oh,
I can go first, and then everybody else's is better than mine, so we can start off low and kind of move high. Literally, like I said, I felt really bad because I was working last night, and I was like, I got to throw something together, so I had to try and grab things off of YouTube and Instagram. So I apologize for the quality, but please,
Well,
as you were.
So you are FXhome Reel MP4, right? Okay. Here we go.
Oh, you have to pull it back.
Wait a minute. Let's try it again. I
You can
love
tell
it.
what was done with during COVID. Thank you.
Obviously,
To Camtrack, shout out to Camtrack AR that I still use to this day.
Yes. Yes. That's fantastic. I love it.
those shots were awesome. Oh, it's such a
Thank
shame
you.
you don't have them in full res.
Yeah.
There are that's some of that stuff I could just pick apart and stare at and like just watch like 10 times in a row. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very
Wait,
kind of
did
to
you
say.
what software
I'm
did
thinking
you
of your
use to
first
make
couple
that?
shots you did tutorials on, and I used those techniques from Phil's tutorials. I learned from him.
Yeah, that was all HitFilm, just mainly HitFilm Pro, but yeah.
That's fantastic. I was just kidding. I knew that.
That was Alan. That was Composite Lab, the first one.
Wow. Cool. Bravo. I love it. Nice. I love it. Oh, no, not that one. That one's the one I wanted. Sorry. That's good. Movie shows, not kid friendly. Shh. Okay. I don't know. Old school.
There you go.
It. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Axel. All right, sir. That's FX Reel, right?
It is. I'll do a little quick intro because the first shot in this reel, which was briefly alluded to earlier, predates HitFilm. It was the very first visual effects shot I ever created. It was using LMDV2, I believe. But yeah, it was 1999, I think, when episode 1 came out, is when I made this shot.
Wow.
Because Star Wars.
So
It's part of a longer little short film thing that I did, but I trimmed it down for the purposes of this reel. So that's what the first shot is. There's a few of these shots that don't have any audio to them because I lost it while I was cobbling the reel together real quick for this stream. So don't panic that things aren't working or anything, but yeah.
I have one question. What was it like to live way back in the 1900s?
It was a different time.
Everything hurts.
Horse and cart, like there was no electricity, no water.
Well, let me tell you, pre-YouTube, sharing videos was an entirely different.
All right.
Turn a crank to get the render to start.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe the video wrap product came into existence specifically to make it easier for people to convert their videos to a format they could upload to the hosting area on the FXhome website. Because before YouTube, that's how you would show your videos to everyone in the community. And so, yeah, the first little bit here was uploaded there at some point, but yeah.
All right, let's watch it. Here we go.
From one
I hope
character
I don't get
to
monetized
another,
or demonetized.
because everybody loves Loki.
These are so solid.
Woo!
Oh, that's yay!
Fantastic. I hadn't seen some of those.
Yeah, probably not. I tried to grab a few that I wasn't sure anyone had seen, but yeah, that one of the Walker was just I threw that one together for an Instagram post on May the 4th one year. Well, we were rebuilding our house. That was 2017. We had a house fire and in the process of rebuilding, and so I didn't go anywhere exciting or anything. I was just like, yeah, I'll just throw a visual effect in there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep. And then my first bearded dragon, Loki, that one was just I was like, I wonder if I can pull this one off. Was pretty happy with the result.
That's good.
It all looked great.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. I'm probably getting demonetized. Thanks a lot with the.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
The last one, which I also quite like, the trebuchet throwing the fireball, is like, we built that trebuchet in my parents' field. It's like 18 feet tall. We had the opportunity and the means.
So you did.
Being that type of people, yeah, we built that.
I don't think you'd get away with that in the UK at all. I think that would be dismantled in a matter of minutes, or be like, it'd be used for nefarious activities, I think, is what it would be used for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was actually just throwing like this 12-pound ball of concrete, but then I added all the effects to make it look like it was burning. That was a fun one.
Oh, man,
the particle work on it going was fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you. Getting the arc right, I remember, was tricky. It's been a few years since I did it, but because a large part of the arc is off screen, so kind of calculating from where the ball moves and then it was tricky to get the 3D positioned correctly, the depth and everything, so that it lined up and worked. But
that's cool. That's cool. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next because I figure Zach's is going to be utterly spectacular. And Jay, you assume you have a reel yourself, but you're the host. You get to close out.
I don't actually. I don't. No, I'm. You guys are my guests.
Well, then we'll have plenty of time to talk to Zach. Okay, so we should be seeing my screen. Yes.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Hi, I'm Mike Miller for the HitFilm University channel. Wait, that's not right.
report.
Hi.
Woo!
Nope,
Nice.
stop.
No, absolutely. No, I think we keep going. And one of the reasons I just looking at this stuff, I'm like, this is when we were talking before about I've got an idea for a movie. I've got an idea for the movie. I see all of these things. You know, it's still relevant. It still works.
I think Mike likes blowing stuff up, though. I think I kind of got a lot of that.
You
I
noticed that.
There was a lot of shooty bang bang and a lot of explosions, which I enjoy. But it's like it was very good. And it's just like that. But you obviously like blowing things up.
Jay's channel is family friendly, but I really wanted to put a title card on here that said I like blowing up in HitFilm.
That Y-wing shot hitting the canyon wall was masterful. Well done.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that uses ActionVFX elements in the. No, another reason I went with the explosions is I had a lot of fun building the explosions in the particle sim, and I mean you could see some of the earlier ones where it was just using the procedural textures to figure things out, and then some of the other shots where it's like using that shot with just the straight procedural texture or the built-in texture, and then replacing that with smoke puffs or fireballs from ActionVFX, like the Y-wing shot, and suddenly it's like, wow, that looks really good. Yeah. And getting that 3D motion in the debris and the smoke trails, I think sells it more than just using the 2D card.
Yeah,
and in a rotating thing like that.
Yeah, it's not a criticism. I really, really enjoyed it. I just noticed that you like blowing stuff up, which is good. It's fun. You can do that. It's part of
you need something blown up.
Yeah, Mike Miller. Mike's your man.
Mike's your man. Yeah, wonderful. All right, who we got left?
Well, Zach.
Is it Zach?
Just Zach. Yeah, I've got nothing. I'm
Alrighty.
Yeah, go on.
Zach,
go on,
you're up here, huh?
All right.
Zach has a 527-minute long reel.
Yeah.
All the stuff he did. No, I'm just kidding. I'll add you to the stage.
That's Axel.
Sorry, that was not Zach. Here's Zach. All right, I'll add you to the stage. Here we go.
Yeah, just before I start, it's a bit of a longer video because I just kind of, when I started looking back at my old stuff, just wanted to include almost everything. It's just reminding me of my old days using HitFilm, and I included some of my earliest projects at the beginning, and then you can kind of see the progression and a lot of the tutorial shots that I did. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I also just want to shout out a lot of people because a lot of this is a collaborative effort, whether it's using knowledge, I learned on the forums or from one-on-one chats with people in the community, or collaborating with Tom and Javert and Ollie on the tutorial stuff, or various, 3D models provided from, users on Sketchfab or from Tony C. So, so it's not just entirely my work, but it's a good sort of demonstration of where I started to where I ended up with HitFilm. So,
looking forward to it.
There's that shot. Yes.
Why did that last shot make me so anxious?
Because, it was a light falling over. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exceptional work, Zach. And
It's incredible.
It's funny because I have like a bunch of those tutorials saved. Of like always go back to them. Many of them I didn't know were yours. So well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No kidding.
Vegas Creative Academy is right. Zach's reel absolutely encapsulates HitFilm's progress as a software package.
And just the versatility as well. All the different types of very different content. Like we haven't really spoke about title cards a lot, and there were some fantastic tutorials about, title cards and that kind of content.
Yeah, so much fun working on all that stuff. And like you say, the titles were a big part of a lot of what I played with in HitFilm. There's so many features related to text that made it so easy just to get into that.
you also unlocked another core memory for me as well of Ollie just making lots of random noises in rooms in the office. Like the amount of times he would just be screaming or grunting, and I'm like, what on earth is going on in there? And the dev team were just like, is he all right? Do we need to get in there and stop? And apparently it's just because he was filming a tutorial. But we never really knew what Ollie was up to most of the time. It was just like every now and again you just hear some noises from a random room, and it's just him and Tom just filming something of some ridiculous construction. But yeah, it was always a lot of fun in the office when those guys were around.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so much good stuff.
Yeah.
Such a wealth of knowledge there. And like you said, the progression of the software. It's great to see how it started and like where it was taken with, you know, different artists trying different things.
And here you go. This encapsulates HitFilm progress as a software package.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. Amazing, Zach. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm just working my way through the comments. Keep talking.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that, you know, and I know Josh is here as well as many others, and obviously 80's here as well. Big thank you personally from me, just, you know, seeing this, because it absolutely changed my life. You know, having access to this software and people who gave a damn about where it was going. And you know, for every support ticket that came in, there was another saying, you guys did a hell of a thing, you know, and you made something that really, really pushed the bar. So if there's anything to take from this, lives were changed by this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. And I will say as well, the dev team that worked on this were incredible. Absolutely wealth of talent in there. And a lot of them have been there for a long time as well. But yeah, just incredible knowledge, and like you say, just driven to try and make something that was usable. And I don't want to use the term perfect because it's not something you can ever create in software. You're never going to create perfect software, but they tried their absolute best to make something that was the best that they could. And obviously there are always limitations. It wasn't a massive team as well. Like don't think there's like hundreds of people like there is in most companies. It was sometimes under 20 or 30 people that worked there. But the stuff that they've achieved, they should be incredibly proud of it. Absolutely proud of it, because it is, and it's like you say, it's just great. It's just great to see, and how much progression has been made in the software itself. You know, kind of like you say, what lives it's changed and stuff. That probably some stories we'll not even know about, not even get told to us. But obviously there will be changes in people's lives. So yeah, just all for it, and just a massive shout out to those guys that worked incredibly hard on that. I know quite a lot of them did work some late nights as well. So yeah, it's just great to kind of see the fruits of their labor, basically. So yeah, it's wonderful.
You could see the passion that was put into that application. I mean,
we often heard it as well with Ollie around. We often, you know, it's screams and grunts and all sorts. Yeah, it wasn't just you know, shown in the software. It was also heard throughout the office and probably downstairs as well. But yeah, it's all good. I haven't spoken to Ollie for a long time. It's reminded me to reach out to him and have a chat with him, because
likewise,
he's an absolutely outstanding gentleman, and I kind of catch up with him. But yeah, it was always, if it wasn't Tom walking through the office and singing like I did, it was either Ollie, just like, you know, like I say, making noises and generally just being quite funny. So yeah, it was great. The office was a lovely space to be all the time.
Yeah.
We were trying to get a dev in today, but I guess he wasn't able to make it. Oh, Javert, I'll want to know that story later. But I'm very glad that particularly Phil and 80 were here, because Jay has a tutorial channel. I have a tutorial channel. Axel's done tutorials. Zach has done tutorials. The four of us have gotten to be faces of HitFilm with Phil and Addy. You guys working in the back office, being QA, being support. Phil, I think you were also a marketing assistant. You know, to get that different perspective in there, and to have you two representing the back office team, the people who didn't get to be in front of the camera, the people who didn't get to be faces of HitFilm and known in the community, to get a chance to thank you two on behalf of the rest of the FXhome staff in the back office.
Thanks, guys.
Pleasure. Thank you. It was a
I think
pleasure.
that it takes a village kind of thing, right? Like you said, there's a lot of people that were in front of the camera, and rightfully so, and they're great presenters. But seeing all the people behind the scenes who made it work, like I started out as a customer, and then going
Me
in
too.
and seeing everybody and just seeing all the passion from every different department. It mattered to everybody. And that's what really helped me really feel like I was in the right place, because it mattered. It wasn't just a, hey, what's our bottom line? Hey, what about the Q4 projections and things like that? It was like, let's make this matter. And that was really important.
Jay has a hard limit for today that we're coming up on, so I'm going to interrupt quickly to say Jay has another live stream next week. The guest list on that should include Tom and Javert, and we're trying to get some other people who are devs or back office or support, and maybe a couple of other very special guests that we're hoping we'll be able to confirm. He'll tell us later this week.
We'll see.
Cross fingers. Jay, thanks for putting these live streams together. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
This is me saying goodbye. I will shut up and let everybody else say goodbye.
Yep. We'll let you all say a final few words, starting with Phil.
Yeah. Okay. No pressure. Cool. Never stop creating. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep going. Like was said earlier, every software is going to have a lifespan. Take what you learn, keep going on it. Go to the Discord. I'm gonna make myself more visible there as well. And just, like I said, I understand where Axel's coming from, being, I'm over here in Boston. I'm not really around many others. It's hard to self-motivate, but allow yourself to be inspired by the other users and what you've seen here. And, like I said, with the Discord, you have access to all those people. So always keep doing it. And thank you again to everybody that was here to bring HitFilm to fruition. And I can't thank you enough for that.
Zach?
Yeah, I just want to end off by saying a huge thank you to FXhome for, first of all, creating the software in the first place, and just to everyone who's helped me along the way, the whole HitFilm community. And again, to FXhome for the opportunity to work with them was an incredible experience. And HitFilm really kickstarted my professional career in the visual effects industry, and I'm so thankful for that.
All right, Mike.
I did mine. Thanks for coming, everybody.
All right, 80.
Yeah, just thank you for organizing this. But a massive thank you for all the great stuff that you guys have created. I think from my personal journey, like it was the first real kind of job that I felt that really wasn't a job at all. It was something that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I learned so much. And I'm so appreciative of those people that took time out to explain stuff to me and go through stuff. And I think I'm a much better, not only QA tester, but also a better person for knowing those people and being around that kind of that office and that community as well. So that includes all you guys in this room. Thank you so much for everything that you've done, everything that you continue to do. Obviously the Discord and Tony C, like it's so lovely seeing some names here that I've not seen for many a year. Doesn't mean I haven't thought about you, but obviously it's the first time I've seen you all in a room together for a long time. So it's been a lovely trip down memory lane, but it's just a massive thank you to everyone that has been a small part in kind of what we've done. And I know there are some people behind the scenes that are not here today. I want to give them a massive shout out as well. A lot of people did work incredibly hard to get HitFilm to where it is, and just a massive shout out to those people that obviously are not here to represent themselves. But yeah, that's it from me. I'll pass over to Axel.
Axel.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, for hosting this, and Mike as well for helping to arrange and organize it. It's been fun. Even just rummaging through all my files, looking for stuff to throw into a reel. It brought back so many memories of different projects and stuff, and the community involvement was always just fantastic. The users of the software inspired so much of what happened with the development and progress of the software. So yeah, it was a fun ride, and yeah, I appreciate you arranging this event so we could all remember it together.
Awesome. And appreciate everybody being here today. And again, we will have another live stream next week. And I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but so with that,
I'll spoil something. I'll probably be here again. You get stuck with more of me.
Michael,
But a different reel that will have
my
a different reel with fewer explosions.
My comrade in arms will be here next week also. So there it is. So thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. And with that, we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers, everybody.